There was a time in my life when I thought love meant giving someone everything, every second, every emotion, every dream, every soft corner of my heart. I believed that if you truly loved someone, you slowly made them your whole world. And honestly, that is exactly what I did. I did not even realize when my mornings started with her thoughts, and my nights ended with her voice. It felt beautiful in the beginning. Like life finally had meaning, like someone had entered my empty world and turned the lights on. People around me used to say, "Don't get too attached." But when you are deeply in love, those words sound meaningless, because attachment never feels dangerous while it is growing. It feels safe, it feels warm, it feels like home. I remember how small things started becoming important to me. Her messages could change my mood within seconds. If she was happy, my entire day felt beautiful. If she was distant, my chest felt heavy. Slowly, without noticing, I stopped living my own life. My happiness became connected to her presence. My peace depended on her attention, and that is the most dangerous kind of love, the kind where you slowly disappear while trying to keep someone else close. One day, I looked at myself and realized I no longer knew who I was without her. I stopped spending time with people who cared about me. I ignored my own goals. I stopped enjoying the things that once made me feel alive. Everything became about the relationship. I kept thinking this is what true love looks like: sacrifice, attachment, emotional dependence. But the truth is, when love starts taking away your identity, it stops being healthy. And then came the day I never thought would happen. She left. No warning can prepare a person for that kind of silence. One day someone is part of your every routine, and the next day, they are gone like they were never there. The calls stop, the messages disappear, the care becomes cold, and suddenly you are sitting alone with memories that still feel alive inside your chest. That pain is difficult to explain to people who have never experienced real attachment, because when someone leaves after becoming part of your emotional world, it does not feel like losing a person. It feels like losing yourself. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, just to check my phone, hoping her name would appear again. I remember reading old conversations again and again, trying to understand where things changed. I blamed myself for everything. Maybe I loved too much. Maybe I cared too deeply. Maybe I was not enough. Heartbreak does something strange to a person. Even strong people become weak in silence. You smile in front of others, but inside, your mind keeps replaying memories like a movie you cannot pause. Some nights I could not sleep. Some mornings, I did not even want to get out of bed. The emptiness was louder than anything else. But slowly, after months of pain, I started understanding something important. The reason I was broken was not only because she left. I was broken because I had built my entire identity around another human being. I had forgotten how to exist alone. I had made someone else responsible for my happiness. And when they disappeared, my world collapsed with them. That realization changed me. I started spending time with myself again. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Silence used to scare me because it reminded me of her absence. But with time, that same silence became healing. I started reconnecting with the version of myself I had abandoned during the relationship. I began focusing on my goals again. I started talking to old friends. I started appreciating simple things: peaceful mornings, long walks, quiet nights without emotional stress. Slowly, I understood that love should never cost you your self-worth. Real love is not supposed to make you lose yourself completely. Yes, love requires care, compromise, and emotional connection, but it should never turn you into a person who forgets their own value. The saddest thing is that many people do not realize this until heartbreak teaches them the lesson the hard way. And honestly, I do not hate her for leaving anymore, because sometimes people leave to show you what you were refusing to see. Sometimes heartbreak opens your eyes in ways comfort never could. If she had stayed, maybe I would have continued living a life where my happiness depended entirely on another person. Maybe I would have never learned how important it is to stand emotionally on your own feet. Now when I look back, I realize love is beautiful, but attachment without balance can destroy a person quietly. You can love someone deeply without losing your identity. You can care for someone without abandoning yourself. And the moment you learn that difference, your entire understanding of relationships changes. Some people leave and take your peace away, but some people leave and unknowingly return you to yourself. And sometimes, losing the person you thought you needed becomes the reason you finally find the person you were meant to become. When the relationship ended, I honestly believed my life had ended with it. People around me kept saying, "Time heals everything." But those words sounded empty to someone carrying heartbreak in silence every single day. Because when you truly love someone, losing them does not feel like a small emotional moment. It feels like your entire inner world has collapsed without warning. I remember the first few weeks after she left. Everything around me still reminded me of her. Songs, late-night conversations, certain places, even small habits I picked up because of her. The hardest part about heartbreak is not only missing the person, it is learning how to live without the emotional routine they created inside your life. I used to wake up and immediately check my phone, hoping maybe she had texted me during the night, even though I knew she probably would not. But Schment makes people hold on to impossible hope. You keep waiting for the apology, the explanation, the message that says, "I made a mistake," and when it never comes, the silence slowly starts teaching you painful truths. At night, things became worse. During the day, people distract you, work distracts you, noise distracts you, but at night, you are left alone with your thoughts. That is when heartbreak becomes loudest. I would replay old memories in my mind again and again, trying to understand where things changed. I kept asking myself questions nobody could answer. Did she stop loving me slowly? Was I not enough? Could I have saved the relationship if I tried harder? Heartbreak turns the mind into a prison sometimes. There were moments I felt angry, moments I felt broken, and moments I felt completely empty. Some days I missed her so much that even breathing felt heavy, and the worst part was pretending in front of others that I was okay. People see your smile and think you are healing, but they do not see the emotional war happening quietly inside your chest every night. But slowly, something strange started happening. The pain that once destroyed me began changing me. At first, I hated being alone. Silence felt dangerous because it forced me to face emotions I had been avoiding. But after enough sleepless nights, enough tears, and enough emotional exhaustion, I stopped running from myself. I started sitting with my pain instead of hiding from it. And that was the beginning of healing. I started realizing how much of my identity I had attached to the relationship. I had built my happiness around one person so completely that when she left, I no longer knew who I was without her. That realization hurt deeply, but it also opened my eyes. For the first time in years, I started focusing on myself again. I started taking long walks alone just to clear my mind. I reconnected with old friends I had ignored during the relationship. I returned to hobbies and as I once abandoned, because I became too emotionally dependent on love. Slowly, piece by piece, I started rebuilding myself. And healing did not happen in one beautiful moment. It happened quietly. It happened the first night I slept peacefully without checking my phone. It happened the first morning I woke up and did not immediately think about her. It happened when I laughed naturally again without forcing it. Small moments like these became proof that pain does not last forever, even when it feels endless in the beginning. The heartbreak also made me emotionally wiser. Before all of this, I thought love alone was enough to keep two people together. But heartbreak taught me that love without emotional maturity, respect, consistency, and effort eventually breaks apart. Feelings are powerful, but relationships also require understanding, communication, and mutual care. I also learned that losing someone does not mean losing your value. For a long time, I blamed myself for everything. I thought if someone leaves, it automatically means you are not good enough. But healing showed me something important. Sometimes people leave because they are confused, emotionally unavailable, immature, or simply not meant to stay. Not every ending is proof that you are unworthy of love. And honestly, one of the biggest changes happened inside my heart. Before heartbreak, I used to fear being alone. I thought loneliness was the worst pain a person could experience. But after surviving heartbreak, I discovered something even worse than loneliness: losing yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. That experience changed the way I see relationships now. I still believe in love. I still believe deep emotional connection is one of the most beautiful things in life. But now I understand that love should not destroy your peace. It should not force you to beg for basic care. And it should never make you forget your own worth. Heartbreak taught me patience too. Real healing takes time. Some wounds close slowly. Some memories stay longer than expected. Even now, there are moments when certain songs or places bring back old emotions. But the difference is, those memories no longer control me. They remind me of how far I have come. And maybe that is the hidden gift inside heartbreak. It breaks the version of you that depended entirely on another person and slowly introduces you to a stronger version of yourself, a version that understands pain, values peace, protects self-respect, and loves more wisely. People think heartbreak only destroys people, but sometimes heartbreak rebuilds people in the most powerful way possible. Because after enough pain, you stop chasing people who are unsure about you, you stop begging for attention, you stop accepting half-hearted love, and for the first time, you begin choosing yourself without guilt. In the end, she broke my heart, but the pain she left behind became the reason I finally found my strength therewith. As a period in my life when I truly believed every deep connection was meant to last forever. I thought if two people loved each other enough, they would survive every misunderstanding, every difficult phase, every emotional storm. In my mind, real love always had a happy ending. That is what movies teach us, what songs repeat, and what hopeful hearts want to believe. But life does not always work that way. Sometimes two people love each other deeply and still cannot stay together. That truth took me years to accept. When I met her, everything felt different from the beginning. There was comfort in our conversations, peace in her presence, and a strange emotional connection that made me feel understood. She entered my life during a time when I was emotionally lost, and somehow her existence made things feel lighter. I became attached to her slowly, then completely. She became part of my daily routine, my future plans, my emotional safety. I honestly thought she was the person I would spend my life with. That is why the ending destroyed me so badly. At first, I refused to accept it. I kept convincing myself that this was only a temporary phase. I thought maybe we just needed time apart. Maybe life's stress changed things. Maybe love would bring us back together eventually. But deep inside, reality was already speaking clearly. We were no longer growing together. The connection that once felt effortless had become heavy, confusing, and emotionally exhausting. Still, I kept holding on. Not because the relationship was healthy anymore, but because I was attached to the idea of forever. I was in love with the memories, the promises, and the version of us that existed in the beginning. And that is something many people do. We fall in love with potential instead of accepting reality. There were nights when we would talk for hours trying to fix everything. We blamed timing, misunderstandings, distance, stress, everything except the simple truth that sometimes two people are just not meant to continue together. It was painful because neither of us was completely bad. We both cared. We both tried in our own ways. But effort alone does not always save a relationship. Some connections are temporary, even when the emotions feel permanent. I remember the day I finally understood this. We were sitting together, and for the first time, I noticed how different we had become. The comfort was still there, but the peace was gone. The conversations felt forced. The emotional closeness that once happened naturally now required effort. We were trying to hold together something that had already started falling apart inside. And the hardest part was admitting that love was no longer enough. That realization broke me, because I spent so much time believing failed relationships automatically mean failed love. But now I see things differently. Just because something ends does not mean it was fake. Some people truly love each other and still cannot stay together. Because life, emotional maturity, priorities, or personal growth take them in different directions. At first, I blamed myself for everything. I thought maybe if I had been more patient, more understanding, more emotionally available, things would have survived. I replayed every argument in my head searching for mistakes. Heartbreak has a cruel way of turning people against themselves. You become your own biggest critic. But after enough pain and reflection, I realized something important. Not every ending happens because someone failed. Sometimes relationships simply reach the end of their journey, and accepting that truth is one of the most emotionally mature things a person can do. People often think moving on means forgetting someone, but real healing is not forgetting. Real healing is accepting that a person can be important to your story without remaining in your life forever. It is understanding that some people arrive to teach lessons, awaken emotions, and help you grow into a different version of yourself. Looking back now, I can honestly say that relationship changed me deeply. Before her, I did not fully understand emotional attachment, vulnerability, or the pain of losing someone you truly love. She taught me how deeply the human heart can feel. But she also taught me something equally important. Not every beautiful connection is meant to become permanent, and strangely, that realization brought me peace. Because for so long, I treated the breakup like proof that everything was meaningless. But now, I understand that temporary things can still be real. A sunset does not last forever, but it is still beautiful. A season changes, but it still matters while it exists. In the same way, some relationships are not meant to stay forever, yet they still leave permanent marks on our hearts. I also learned that forcing people to stay never creates real love. When two hearts no longer align, no amount of begging, chasing, or emotional sacrifice can recreate what naturally disappeared. Sometimes love means accepting goodbye with dignity, instead of destroying yourself trying to prevent it. That lesson changed the way I see attachment. I stopped believing that losing someone means losing everything. I stopped measuring the value of relationships only by how long they lasted. Some people stay for decades and never truly change your soul. Others stay for a short time and transform the way you see life forever. And maybe that is the real meaning behind certain heartbreaks. Not every love story is written to last forever. Some are written to wake you up, teach you about yourself, and prepare your heart for deeper wisdom. Some people come into your life not to complete your journey, but to shape the person you become afterward. Now when I think about her, I no longer feel anger, I feel gratitude mixed with sadness, because even though we could not stay together, the experience taught me lessons I would have never learned otherwise. Sometimes endings are not punishments. Sometimes endings are life's way of redirecting two hearts that were only meant to meet, not remain together forever. After the breakup, people kept telling me, you need to move on. But nobody explained how. Nobody tells you what to do when a person becomes part of your daily thoughts, your emotional habits, your future plans, and suddenly disappears. Nobody explains how empty a room can feel after attachment turns into silence. For a long time, I kept trying to find pieces of myself inside old memories. I would scroll through old conversations late at night, replay voice notes, stare at pictures, and ask myself the same painful question over and over again. Why was I not enough? That question destroys many people after heartbreak. You begin comparing yourself to every possible reason they left. You blame your personality, your flaws, your mistakes, your overthinking, your emotions, and slowly, without realizing it, you start losing respect for yourself. Your entire self-worth becomes connected to someone else's decision to stay or leave. That is exactly what happened to me. I had spent so much time loving another person that I completely forgot how to love myself. Everything in my life started revolving around her happiness. If she was okay, I felt okay. If she became distant, my entire mood collapsed. I stopped asking myself whether I was emotionally healthy because I was too busy trying to keep the relationship alive. And honestly, that is one of the saddest things attachment can do to a person. It makes you abandon yourself quietly. I remember one night sitting alone after another painful argument, staring at my reflection in a dark phone screen. I looked exhausted, not physically, but emotionally. I realized I had become someone who constantly begged for reassurance, attention, and emotional consistency. I was giving endless love while secretly feeling empty inside. That moment changed something in me. For that first time, instead of asking, why doesn't she love me the same anymore? I asked myself, why have I stopped loving myself? That question hurt more than the breakup itself. Because the truth was painful. I had ignored my own emotional needs for too long. I tolerated disrespect because I feared losing her. I accepted bare minimum effort because I was emotionally attached. I stayed in situations that damaged my peace because I confused suffering with loyalty. Somewhere during the relationship, I stopped protecting my own heart, and many people do this without noticing. We are taught how to chase love, fight for love, and sacrifice for love. But very few people teach us that self-respect is also part of love. You should never have to destroy your confidence just to keep someone close. Real love should feel safe, not emotionally exhausting. But heartbreak has a strange way of teaching lessons that comfort never could. After the relationship ended, I had no choice except to face myself. At first, loneliness felt unbearable. I hated the silence because it forced me to confront emotions I spent months avoiding. I missed her deeply, even on days I knew she was not good for my peace anymore. That is the confusing part about attachment. Your heart can miss someone your soul knows is unhealthy for you. Still, slowly, I started rebuilding my relationship with myself, not in dramatic ways. Quietly, I started spending time alone, without immediately reaching for my phone. I started reconnecting with old hobbies and forgotten goals. I began noticing how much energy I used to spend chasing emotional validation from someone else. And for the first time in years, I started giving that energy back to myself. Healing was not instant. Some mornings still felt heavy, some nights still carried memories I could not escape, but little by little, I noticed changes. I became calmer, stronger, more emotionally aware. I stopped blaming myself for everything. I stopped begging for, or love that required me to shrink myself emotionally, and the biggest change happened inside my mindset. I realized my worth does not decrease because someone could not recognize it. That lesson sounds simple, but it changes everything once you truly understand it, because many people spend years trying to earn love from emotionally unavailable people, believing they need to become better to deserve basic care. But healthy love is not something you beg for. It is something freely given between two people who genuinely value each other. I also learned that being alone is not the same as being empty. Before heartbreak, I feared loneliness so much that I accepted emotional pain just to avoid losing someone. But after spending time healing alone, I discovered peace inside my own company. I learned how to enjoy silence again. I learned how to comfort myself instead of depending entirely on another person for emotional stability. And honestly, that changed my entire understanding of relationships. Now I know love is beautiful, but it should never come at the cost of your identity. You should be able to deeply love someone and still remain connected to yourself. The moment you start abandoning your self-respect, your peace, and your emotional health just to keep a relationship alive, the love becomes unhealthy. Looking back now, I understand something I could never see during the relationship. The breakup did not only separate me from another person, it reunited me with myself. It forced me to see the emotional wounds, insecurities, and fears I had hidden behind attachment. It taught me that self-worth is not built through someone else's approval. It is built by learning to value yourself, even after rejection, heartbreak, and loss. And maybe that is the most powerful lesson heartbreak can teach a person. At the end of the day, relationships may come and go. People may stay or leave. Feelings may change with time. But if you lose yourself while loving someone, no relationship will ever truly make you happy. Because the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you build with your own soul.